everyone. Let's dive straight into Chopin's Etude, picking up where we left off last time. Once again, a different pattern emerges here. The right hand carries the melody throughout. So, just like last time, use your wrist here as well, similar to how you did earlier. It goes like this. Right? The notes are just E flat, G flat, D flat, and E flat. That's all, right? Here, make sure to emphasize the first beat as well. On the first beat, D flat, and here, A flat. How you should focus on the first beat. Once you have the first beat, then move to the second beat. And once that's done, you can proceed one measure at a time, like this. Next, in this part, you need to stretch a lot between fingers 3, 2, 4 and 2, 2, 3. So make sure to stretch your fingers well. Doing this regularly will make it easier to play comfortably. Next, divide it into smaller parts and play this section. To be challenging here. When playing D flat, prepare your thumb for G flat, like this. Got it? It's the same here. After playing, this part is tricky. That's because positioning here is quite challenging. You need to prepare in advance here, like this. Here is particularly difficult. Look at this. I've marked it like this. Can you see? These are the parts I struggled with. I've marked the challenging sections here as well. When playing slowly, you might not notice the problematic sections, but when you play fast, you need to practice identifying those difficult spots. Here too, you need to use your wrist, like this. Why do we use the wrist? Usually, when playing E flat, your wrist should stay aligned straight. So here, here, and here. Keep your wrist straight while playing. Then your wrist will naturally rotate like this. Now, let's look at the left hand. You can play it like this. Unsure how to synchronize, it's similar to math. When the left hand plays 4 notes, those are grouped into 4 16th notes. Meanwhile, the right hand is grouped into 6 notes. So it's 6 against 4. Divide it further and you get 3 against 2, right? So where do you match 3 against 2? You match it here. This is how you figure it out. That's what I recommend. It's great to follow instructions exactly, but understanding the reasoning behind it is even better. Once you grasp these principles, you can apply them to other sections as well. That's why you should try to understand and analyze such concepts. Being curious is a great habit to cultivate. So, you match it here, right? Like this. Then, match it here in this section. Play both notes with your thumb. Playing them with your thumb makes it easier, doesn't it? It's fine to play differently, but I prefer using my thumb. I think this approach works well. Got it? Now, there's a crescendo and decrescendo. I mentioned this last time, right? Crescendo as you ascend and decrescendo as you descend. Use this to express the music with richness. Next, we see a different pattern again. Let's see. This one is similar to what I mentioned earlier. Practice playing it clearly and precisely. Then practice dividing and playing it faster as well. As you practice, you'll find this part difficult. That's because this section is also hard to catch after playing, right? If you don't practice here, tension will build up in your thumb. That's why you need to practice. Similarly, don't just stop here. Prepare the D flat position in advance. Got it? Prepare for D flat like this. Got it? Practice moving this way. You need to practice this separately. Next, it repeats, but it ascends. Play D flat and go up. Rotate here as well. Then back to A flat. Many mistakes happen in this octave section. Look at this section. Grabbing this part. Right? Practice like this. Got it? The right hand continues with a similar pattern. Now, in the left hand, D flat, and here it's again 6 against 4, right? Dividing it gives 3 against 2. So, I use fingers 4, 2, and then 3, 1. Why do I use 3, 1 here? To prepare for the next note. It gives a feeling of expanding and contracting. It feels a bit dreamy in this section, so like this. Then for the right hand here, this is the kind of motion, right? Right? It moves with this, back and forth like this. The harmony is quite simple, but Chopin used various techniques like this frequently. So it contracts and expands, then contracts and expands again. It's a feeling of contracting and expanding like this. You've seen a lot of similar exercises in Czerny, haven't you? When practicing Czerny, you shouldn't just practice mindlessly. You need to clearly understand what you're practicing and its purpose. So this is also a practice of contracting and expanding. Quickly move your thumb as you contract, then expand again and contract once more. Like this. This part is easy, right? The sheet music isn't that difficult, is it? Now, looking at the left hand, it also ascends chromatically. After the D flat bass, you play D flat, F, A flat, that's a D flat chord. Here, D flat stays the same while the other notes ascend chromatically. It goes up, up, then down, and returns to the starting point. Then play the D flat bass once more. D flat, 7, D flat, F, A flat, and C flat. C flat moves down to a lower position. That's the D flat 7 chord, like this. Here, you need to listen closely to the melody in the left hand. It softens here like this. Think of the left hand as providing the guideline. Since the right hand plays higher notes, people usually focus on the right hand and they tend to practice while concentrating on the right hand. While the right hand may dominate, listening carefully to the left hand allows you to play musically without tension. Now, I already explained how to increase speed in the last session, so stick to that method. If you forget, go back and watch part 1, right? You need to apply all the techniques for increasing speed. The method is always the same, isn't it? And as for the metronome, instead of practicing with it from start to finish, it's better to practice in sections. That's because we're human, not machines. For those sections, practice them separately and then practice combining them later. To reiterate, practice each section perfectly first, then work on combining them. Think of it as creating a complete piece of art this way. Then the same pattern reappears, but the latter part changes slightly in the middle. We'll learn the final section in the next session. All right, everyone, see you next time.